One thing about unemployment that has surprised me is about how little anxiety I feel about not having a full-time job. It's been 2.5 months, and on the balance of things, I feel pretty calm. Now, of course, this isn't the case for everyone, right? Money is important, and not having a job is stressful for a lot of people. Even myself, like I've shown in previous videos, I'm still applying, I'm still looking out, and I don't intend to be in this position for too long, hopefully. But the reason I've been calmer than I expected, I think, revealed itself a couple of years ago when I started to travel alone. It all started with a concert. I've been a fan of Japanese electro-pop trio Perfume for the longest time, for over a decade actually. So when I found out that they were going to perform in Bangkok, I knew I had to go. I knew I had to go and see them live. I'd never done it before. However, even then, it did take quite a bit of encouragement from my good friend Steph for me to actually make the leap, because I never really traveled solo before, and even concerts, I'd never really been to that many before. So it was a lot of new things all at the same time. But what began as a simple trip to watch a show planted a real seed of change within me. So in order to make the most of my time in Bangkok, I filled my schedule with several other things. I booked a walking tour of Chinatown, which became a private tour because I was the only guest that day. I met with an old friend, an ex-colleague, for a few meals and so on. I accidentally met with another old friend because they happened to be in Bangkok at the same time that I was, totally unplanned. Obviously, I did go and watch the concert, but I did it with someone that I had met off of Reddit, of all places. This was my first real solo trip, and somehow I had made it a whole adventure. I've never been the free-spirited type. I have made peace with, that old saying about change being the only constant in life, but that doesn't mean I'm super comfortable when it happens, right? Not all the time, at least. So this whole trip, which had so many things going on at once, it was one of high adventure for me. And the thing is, I loved every minute of it. You see, when you travel alone, no one tells you what the day should look like. What time to wake up, where to go, when to go, whether the day is going to be a fast one or a slow one. That's all up to you. I found that I could build meaning into the days all by myself, and I had never felt so fulfilled in this way ever before. Now, don't get me wrong, when I returned from Bangkok, it wasn't like I had suddenly decided I didn't care about my career anymore or anything like that. On the contrary, I had an exciting work trip coming up and many more great days ahead. I enjoyed my work very, very much, and it was very important to me. But change was around the corner. Like I said, a seed had been planted. The very next year, I decided to do it again. When I booked my flight to Tokyo, it was actually the realization of a plan 5 years in the making, because I had initially, long ago, wanted to do a solo trip there in 2020, but then COVID happened. After that, between work and several other huge life milestones such as getting married, the chance to do so, the chance to try again, never presented itself until then. And boy, did I make the most out of it. I went pretty hard stuffing my Tokyo plans with a whole bunch of brand new experiences. Kayaking on the Sumida River in the autumn cold during sunset, as a total beginner, by the way, to kayaking. Going on a pub crawl with a bunch of complete strangers from all over the world. Rocking out at an underground indie concert. These, along with so many other quote-unquote smaller adventures, and again, doing it all alone. Now, it wasn't an easy trip. I had to keep pushing myself. For example, that pub crawl, I had second thoughts up till an hour before the meeting time. But I turned up anyway, and after some initial nerves and awkwardness, it turned out to be one of the best nights of my whole trip. And that was the key. I just kept turning up for myself. Even on the chill days when the only thing on the agenda was to explore a part of town, I followed up and followed through with anything that remotely caught my attention. I refused to stop myself, to censor myself, or to limit myself in any way. I think that the best decisions are when you say yes to things that you feel scared to do, even though you know deep down inside that you are excited to try it. It's about choosing to go to a quiet bar in a smaller district and finding it within myself to hold a conversation, almost entirely in Japanese, with a pair of middle-aged locals, even though I was at the tail end of my holiday and every fiber of my being was telling me, bro, just stay in a hotel, lie on your bed and scroll TikTok, relax. I had made the days mine, fighting even myself to make it happen. So Bangkok and Tokyo had been extremely fun and fulfilling, but on top of everything I've already mentioned about building meaning into my days and overcoming nerves and self-doubt, for me the greatest takeaway is that none of this had anything whatsoever to do with me being a writer and an editor. You see, for so long, my strongest skill and my job had come to define my identity and my self-worth. These solo trips showed me how much I can do, how much I can achieve, that had nothing to do with my profession. So when things started to change at work, I didn't lose myself. I still take lots of pride in my writing ability and everything I had achieved in my many years in my previous job, but it's no longer that big of a deal in my life. So this is why I'm just not that anxious despite my joblessness. Practical realities mean that yes, I will need to find a new full-time job and hopefully sooner rather than later. But mentally, I am remarkably at peace. Because a couple of solo trips taught me that even when there's no one telling you what to do with your time, you can still build a very meaningful, fulfilling life. Which is what I'm trying to do right now. I'll see you in the next one.